Hi everyone, it's Dara. So for today's video, this is going to be for the ESL student out there. We're going to talk about how to stay encouraged while learning English, the pros and cons of learning English, and how to cope with frustration. Now these are three things that a lot of ESL students go through when they're learning English. It really doesn't matter what level or English skill that you're at. Every ESL student at least one time feels frustrated, may not feel encouraged to keep learning English, or just don't even know why they're learning English. One of the things that students go through when they're learning English, whether they're a beginning student or an advanced student, is the process. There are many different pros and cons to the learning process, and for a lot of students this can be very, very challenging, especially if you're in a new country, you're trying to adjust to a new culture, and now you have to learn a new language. So this one's for you. As you know, learning English can be an exciting experience or it can be a daunting experience. It really depends on several factors. It could depend on the teacher that you have, it could be on the ESL program, it could be the materials that you're learning, or it could be you. And when I say you, I don't mean this in a bad way. It just means that when you're learning a new language for anybody, it doesn't matter if it's English, you're learning Spanish or French, it could be a very nerve-wracking experience. Sometimes you often ask yourself, do I really need to learn this language? I speak whatever language I speak, I'm fine with that. If you are learning English for the first time, you can feel very intimidated by the language. And if it's not presented in a way that makes you feel comfortable, this can add to that nervous feeling. So I'm here to help you cope with that. So you're a new ESL student, whether you're a beginner or an advanced student, it doesn't matter. And you're new to the class, you're new to your classmates, you're new to your instructor, and you're not sure how you're feeling about this whole process. You have an agenda, maybe an in-classroom assignment, you don't speak the language, or you're too shy to try to speak the language. So now you're feeling a little uncomfortable. What do you do? One thing that a lot of instructors will do is actually pair students with each other to practice whatever assignment that is given in the classroom. Now, for a lot of people, this can be challenging because in general, we tend to be very shy when we are paired with our classmate and we're told to do something. So it doesn't matter if you're learning English or not, it's just something that comes natural for a lot of us. One of the benefits to being paired with a classmate is if the classmate happens to be a student from your country or they're feeling just as shy as you are, this can kind of help offset some of these emotions. If the instructor is giving you a specific task to do and you have a textbook, for example, and maybe the teacher wants you to practice a dialogue, you can be A, the person could be B, and you can practice this dialogue together. Now in most ESL classes, the instructor will model what he or she wants you to do. If the instructor does not model the activity, this can be a little scary because now you're left to do an assignment and you're not sure how to go about it. However, there's always usually at least one student in your class that tends to feel comfortable with doing in-classroom activity, and sometimes you can tell just by watching your classmates. Sometimes there'll be that one student who just will take the lead, and this is great because then if you're not sure, you can ask that student to help you or they'll be willing to assist you. Assume that the instructor models the activity and now you're working with your partner. The one thing you want to do is by first smiling at your partner and saying hello. Hello is the easiest way to kind of break the ice and help you to feel less nervous. Now, if the student happens to be from your country and maybe you both speak the same language, this is also an advantage because now you might be tempted to speak to your partner in your language. But be careful. This is an English class, so you want to be encouraged to speak to this person in English. And depending on the teacher that you have, you may not be allowed to speak in your native language, so keep that in mind. So here you are. You're working with your partner, you're doing this in-classroom assignment, and you start to feel a little less nervous because then you quickly realize that this person that you're working with is also shy. They're learning the language like you are. They don't know the answers just like yourself, so you now have something in common. What happens when you are finding yourself maybe working in a group? Group activities will happen in the ESL classroom because teachers don't want to be lecturers. They don't want to give you all the answers. They don't want to do all the talking. So they want to encourage you as a student to work with your peers. So now you're working in this group, and you're always going to have different personalities and different levels at this point. There will always be at least one student in the group who might be a little more advanced than you are. It doesn't mean that they speak better English than you or they're better than you. It just means that maybe they're a little more able to grasp the material, unlike yourself. And that's actually an advantage. This student sometimes will be able to help his or her group in the activity. However, you don't want to rely solely on that one person because you're here to learn as well. So the whole purpose of group activity is for everyone to work with each other and feed off each other's different skill sets. Now this can be a fun situation because then this is when people start to feel a little more relaxed. You don't feel like it's just you doing all the work and you doing all the talking. Each of you has a specific role. Each of you has a part of the activity that you're working on. So it's more of a collaborative situation as opposed to just one person doing all the work. Now here are some pros and cons. One of the pros is you're in this classroom, you're working with your classmates, and this is a way for you to get to know your classmates. You might even do the activity, and then within that activity you're asking each other questions. Where are you from? I am from wherever. What language do you speak? I speak. Why do you want to learn English? Well, I want to learn English because I want to find a job. I want to learn English because I want to learn American culture. I want to learn English because whatever. So now you go from doing an in-classroom assignment to now having a conversation, but it's happening naturally. For that shy student who may not feel comfortable jumping in that conversation, believe me, you will be able to participate because someone in the group is going to talk to you. And they may talk to you in a way that may feel less ESL class, so to speak. It'll make you feel like, oh, I'm a part of the conversation. Oh, it's okay because this is my classmate and we're all in this together. So we're all here to learn. Nobody is better than nobody. For most ESL instructors, our job is to make sure that this is happening. We want to allow the students to not only work with each other for an assignment, but also to get to know one another. Why is this a pro? This is a pro because if you have any questions or you have any concerns, this will allow you to go to your peers to ask for help. It also helps the student to feel independent. When a student feels independent, they feel more encouraged to learn what they're learning in the classroom. It's not going to take away from you asking your teacher questions. It's just that for a lot of adult students, they still want to feel a sense of independence. And so if they can go to their peers and ask questions and figure it out without asking the teacher and raising their hand, they tend to feel a little more comfortable in that way. Now when you're learning English, keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of things going on. You either have a textbook or you have materials you're working with, you have your instructor, you have your classmates. And oftentimes in the learning process, there will be times where you will feel a little frustrated. Why? Because you're learning a new language. You may not be able to grasp the material right away. Grammar, for example. Grammar, I think for all of us, is a very difficult concept because it's something that we have to learn whether we like it or not. Learning grammar for anybody can be very difficult. So that is one thing that we cannot avoid. You must learn grammar in order for you to learn the new language. Now here's a con. Now this is good for the student, but it's not good for us teachers. Sometimes students feel so comfortable with their peers that they become very friendly, which is a good thing, but then they start to talk during class time to the point where now the teacher is doing his or her job by instructing you to do something, or they're presenting a new lesson to you, and you become so comfortable with your classmate that you start to have what we call chit chat, which is just another way of saying conversation. So now you're talking to your friend, you're asking each other questions. Oh, how was your weekend? Oh, my weekend was great. And you're doing this during class time, and now you're not paying attention to what's happening in the class. So this could be a con. it's good that you get to know your classmates, but you want to also pay attention to what's happening in the class. So when the instructor or the teacher gives you an assignment, you're not sitting there like, what am I to do? Another con in this is that you want to be careful when it comes to sharing information. Now, as adults, we are very independent people, and so we tend to, if we feel comfortable talking with each other, sometimes we will share certain details like, oh, I'm single, or I have children, or I'm married, or my birthday is, or I live in this neighborhood. Keep in mind, although you're all classmates, you're still strangers. You don't know each other well. So you still want to be very careful of sharing too much personal information. As you're learning English, one of the things you want to keep in mind is try not to get frustrated. Now, this will happen. I have to be honest with you. You will feel frustrated during this process. So here you are. You went from week 1 to now week 5, and you're having a difficult time. Maybe you're not understanding the material the way you did in week 1. You're starting to feel uncomfortable because you're realizing your classmates are moving forward and you're feeling like you're falling behind. Maybe you don't participate as much, or you don't want to participate, or you feel embarrassed because now you realize, hey, I still don't understand this grammar point, or I don't understand the material, and I don't want to tell my classmates because they're able to keep up with the teacher and I'm not. And I'm not going to tell my teacher because I don't want her to think I'm slacking off or I'm falling behind. So I'm just going to be quiet. And for some students, they feel so frustrated where they even contemplate on dropping out of the class altogether. Another frustration is when you're working with your peers. Sometimes when you're working with your partner or you're working in groups, you may have some students who might be able to speak better English than you. Maybe everyone in the group is able to talk to each other very comfortably, and you're standing there or sitting there like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. And maybe those classmates may not want to help you understand because they feel, hey, we're at week 5 and you should be able to do this. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I understand I'm at week 5, but I'm still having a hard time. So now you realize your classmates are not as willing to help you in week 5 as opposed to week 1. You feel frustrated. Another frustration is with the instructor. Now, as a teacher myself, I understand sometimes teachers, we get so into the lesson, everyone's flowing, everyone's understanding the material, and we're feeling great about that. But you're still not able to keep up. And you might, in fact, talk to your teacher about this, and your teacher might say, well, try harder. Maybe you feel your teacher is going too fast. And sometimes we do make that mistake, so we understand. So one of the things that I would personally suggest to you as the ESL student is, number 1, remember your purpose. Remember why you are in this ESL class. You don't want to allow the frustration to discourage you from learning English or to make you feel like you don't belong in the class. Talk to your teacher. Let he or she know that you're not keeping up with the class or you're having some struggle. It's our job as ESL teachers to listen to students' concerns. And the reason why we must do that is because if we have everyone on board with us and everyone's able to keep up with us at our pace, but you're not, we must address that because we don't want you to fall too far behind. We want to make sure that you're able to keep up, but also we want to encourage you to keep trying your best. Every person learns at a different speed, at a different level. So don't feel bad if everyone is up here and you're still kind of down here. It's okay. You're not supposed to keep up with everyone at the same pace. And also keep this in mind too. One student might be really good at grammar, but might be terrible at vocabulary. You might be excellent at vocabulary. You can remember those new words, 1, 2, 3, but the grammar, might not be your strong point. Communicate with your classmates. Talk to them. If you feel comfortable with someone and you want to share your concerns, share them because they're your classmate. They understand and maybe they could give you advice to help you stay encouraged. know that you're trying your best, and know that this is a process, because learning English is truly a process. It will not happen overnight. And if anyone was to tell you that you will be a fluent English speaker in 2 months, they are lying to you, okay? If someone tells you you're going to know everything in 2 months, they are lying to you. It's not possible. Even with all the studying that you do, you will not know everything. And let me tell you a little secret that I've learned in this process, because although I'm a teacher, I'm also a student. I have taken other languages, and believe me, I've been there. Teachers don't know everything. Yes, we don't know everything. We're here to help you learn the language, but guess what? We have our own teacher materials that we have to review, because sometimes we have to review, and any teacher who says they don't have to review is lying, because there will be that one time that you will be teaching something and a student will ask a question and you stand there like, it has happened to me more times than I can tell you. It's a learning process for both you as the student and us as the teacher. So I hope these tips have helped you today in the learning process. I will be addressing this more and more in this series, but I just want you as the student to know that it's okay if you don't know everything in one day. It's okay if you're not able to keep up at the same pace with your classmates, because you learn your way and they learn their way. And also keep in mind, it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel frustrated, but don't let the frustration stop you in learning the language. Don't let that stop you from trying your best. Always, always continue to try your best. And don't be afraid to communicate with your classmates and your teacher. Let them know how you feel. Let them know that you're feeling frustrated, because as teachers, it's our job to listen to our students and to motivate and encourage you in your English learning journey. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.